Radio. This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello and welcome to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Thank you for joining us. We're your hosts. My name is Marcie Davis, and my co-host is my beautiful service dog, Fenway. And Fenway and I are thrilled to be with you today to talk about our favorite subject, working dogs and working animals. And today we are welcoming Diane Rampelberg. And Diane is the founder of Dustin's Paws, which is a nonprofit organization based in the United States in the state of Idaho. And since 2000, Dustin's Paw has been providing canine-enhanced learning activities and therapy for children with disabilities. And working as an integral part of the professional team, they provide creative, interactive canine child activities that are designed to captivate and entice children with different needs and abilities to accomplish their learning and therapy goals. So we've heard so much about Diane and are so excited that she's with us. So come right back after these quick messages as we welcome Diane Rampelberg to the show.
You know the expression, cats have 9 lives. Well, what if you can give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying or neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at GiveThem10.org. That's GiveThem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. It's my pleasure to welcome Diane Rampelberg. Hello, Diane, and welcome.
Thank you, and welcome to you too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I have heard so many wonderful things about your training abilities from another Working Like Dogs guest. Tamara Martin was telling us of the wonderful work that you've done with her and the program that she works with in Alabama. So I'm so excited for you to tell us, Diane, about Dustin's Paw. How did that get started? What is the organization? Tell us.
Well, back several years ago when my son was he was in high school at the time, and he had been begging his dad for a dog for years. There was no problem with me having a dog, but because I love dogs. But my husband wasn't so sure because he was afraid that if we got a dog when Thomas got ready to go to college, then we'd be stuck with the dog, which was all right with me, but not with him. So my son found out about Canine Companions and how they raised puppies to become service dogs. And not only that, they were the kind of dog he loves, which was a golden retriever. So he approached my husband and he said, sure. He said, if we'll only have him for a certain period of time and you're doing this for the good of someone else, he said, I don't have a problem. So we brought our first puppy into our home, and needless to say, we all fell in love with him.
I bet. Yes. Fell hard, I bet. Yes.
Yes. And then we brought another puppy in. So we raised 2 puppies for Canine Companions. And I was teaching at the time, and I just couldn't believe the reactions that I could get from the kids with the dog because I was in special ed. It was just perfect. The kids would do things that I just didn't know that they had the power to do. So anyway, pretty soon, a friend of mine who's a nurse and had a facility dog told me all about it. And she said, with your background, you should get one for yourself. So the dream started, and I began thinking about getting myself a dog and how I would use it and the rest of that. So in 1999, I graduated with my first facility dog, Dustin, who is the namesake of our organization.
Wow.
And I wanted to because I saw the dog doing things and because I'm a teacher, I wanted more out of the dog than just to be a dog that was present or was to be petted or, for comfort or whatever. And one of the reasons is because I see the kids day after day after day. So some of that would get boring to them. They want more excitement. They want more things to do. So I began thinking about how I could involve the kids and the dogs together and still get my IEP goals done. And that's basically where it started. And then it just continued to grow. And we started in California and spent 6 years there. And then we've been in Idaho since 2006. And it's been great.
Yeah, and you were really on the cutting edge. If you graduated in 1999 with a facility dog, that was before they've become so common. So you were on the cutting edge.
Right. And it was also really before we had a whole lot of therapy dogs as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Did you graduate from Canine Companions?
Yes. So I'm now on my 6th dog.
Wow.
So the first dog, Dustin, was actually the first dog that my son and I raised. And so when I applied for a facility dog, lo and behold, I got to training and he was there. He was one of the dogs that they pass the dogs around and they try to find a good match for you. Well, it was pretty easy because we already had been bonded.
Yes, I bet Dustin was thrilled to see you in that class.
Yeah, it was really great.
Oh, that was magical, I bet. Yeah.
So ever since then, we've been, just continuing to work with kids are my specialty. But when I moved to Idaho, they had me working in the traumatic brain injury unit for a while with adults.
Mm.
And adult therapy and pediatric therapy are 2 different things.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. And so your heart is with the kiddos, the little ones.
well, little ones, right now I have older kids. I guess you wouldn't call them kids, young adults.
Uh-huh. What ages, Diane?
Well, we have everything from infants, and I think the oldest that I have now is 24.
Wow. Okay, so when did you set up the nonprofit?
Well, that happened later on, and I actually started out with a different name. And then, I put my stuff up on the internet, and lo and behold, there was somebody who had a similar name, and they had already taken, not sure what you call it, but it's when you reserve a name for yourself with the government.
Trademark it. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And they had already had it, and she said that I needed to change my name. So I did. And I went to a internet lawyer, and he said the best way to get around it is just to use a regular name. So we used Dustin's name, and that's how we came into being.
Yeah.
So then I moved out of teaching, although I stayed in the schools, not in a classroom, but out of them. And then I would go to the different classrooms that we had in California, all the way from visually impaired, hearing impaired, autistic, orthopedic, whatever it happened to be. We would go around, and there are several schools in the Bay Area where we were at. And then I just started serving the kids there. So I'd come in for a certain amount of time every week and then work with the kids.
Oh, that's lovely. And so tell us about the work with the kids. What kind of activities are you doing with them, with your dog?
Well, all kinds of things, all designed to meet goals. And they're usually the kids' goals. Well, I'll give you some examples from where I'm working right now. So I'm in a therapy clinic. So I work right beside the occupational therapist, speech therapist, and physical therapist. And because we all speak the same language, so if they say to me, I want object permanence. And so I say, okay, in my brain, I know what object permanence is. And then I have to think up an activity for the particular patient that we have that will work to challenge that child's object permanence. So what is object permanence? It's glorified hide and go seek. And so then all I have to do is take a look at the patient and decide from there how we are going to play the game. So if I have a child that's not ambulatory, usually we will sit on the floor and then we'll put a washcloth over the dog's head. And then we'll say, oh, where did Leopold go? Where is he? And so anyway, then we wait for a while and then, we pull the washcloth off the dog's head. And then pretty soon we start changing it, sitting, in a circle around the child with us. Then it's us, and then the kid gets a turn. And then pretty soon we move the dog just a little bit further away. So if we're working on trying to get the kid not only to understand object permanence, once they have that down pretty well, then we're going to start moving the dog a little further away so that the kid has to move towards the dog to take the washcloth off. Does that make sense?
It does. It's adorable. I can just see it, Diane. Yes.
And we can do it with anything. So kids that are learning to ride bikes, during Halloween, we play the ghost game. So I'll put a sheet over the dog's head, and then the kid has to ride the bike down the hall and pull the sheet off the dog's head.
Oh, and so how do you get the dogs to participate and to be still?
Well, that's number one. The reason I go to Canine Companions is because I was so impressed with the way that they train their dogs and how they handle them and the rest of that. So Dustin and all my dogs have come to me with 45 basic commands, and those commands are solid.
Mhm.
They really do a nice job. But that doesn't mean that the dog's going to do it in every environment, and they also have to have a bond with me. And so I work real hard at each one of my dogs having a strong bond with me.
Yeah, so Diane, tell us, how do you start out with them to build that bond? Yeah, tell us that too. We want to know it all, Diane, all your tricks and secrets. This is so cool.
So, I want them to look to me. I want them to look to the patient, but I also want them to looking to me for direction all the time.
Yes.
So I really work on the eye contact. So what I'll do is I'll put barriers. Well, they have pretty good eye contact when they come from Canine Companions. But of course, I use a lot of treats. I'm a clicker trainer. And really, it comes from operant learning. Because I'm a teacher and in special ed, we use a lot of operant learning with the kids. And then that just transfers into what clicker training is. But I may put a barrier in between. So let's say I have a chair, and I'll put the dog in a sit on one side of the chair, and I'll put me on the other side, and the chair's in between. And then, I'll have the dog look, look. And then the dog looks at me. And then pretty soon, we'll drop that. But if you want to know where we really start, it's with a bowl of food in my lap. And then every time that the dog looks at me, then they get a treat. And then pretty soon when they're doing that regularly, I'll start adding the command in, look. And then pretty soon they've got the idea that that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't even have to say it. Sometimes
they're so,
I hit her on my chin and they get it.
Isn't it amazing how quickly they get it?
Yeah, that was kind of mixed up. I didn't give you all the steps that I would go through, but that gives you kind of an idea. And then the chair's replaced with the kid. So I work behind the kid and the dog works in front.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to make myself small and the dog big so that the kid thinks that this dog is their playmate. And so they don't really talk to me much. They're more interested in whoever the dog is. Now it's Leopold. So, they'll talk to him and we walk and sing and we do all kinds of things that kids love. Play doctor and nurse. Beauty parlor, barbershop, and spa.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. Well, this is just so fascinating to me, Diane, about how you make it sound so simple, but it's not simple, Diane. You've really figured this out of how to do this. It is so cool for you to disappear like that because I could see you that you're very behind the scenes and yet you're really the puppeteer that is making it all happen. That is so cool with a tough population. A lot of people are really intimidated by kids with disabilities. That can be pretty daunting as an adult. So, and we're going to hold that thought because we're going to take a really quick message and we're going to come right back and continue visiting with Diane and hearing more about the incredible work that she's doing with kids with disabilities. So come right back.
Has your dog or cat chewed through yet another set of sheets?
I get it. I've been there. But instead of replacing them with more scratchy, low-quality bedding, why not treat yourself to what Oprah and Kris Jenner sleep on every night? It's called Cozy Earth. And yes, it's as dreamy as it sounds. Their bamboo sheets and pajamas are buttery soft, cooling, moisture-wicking, and they actually get softer every time you wash them. I'm talking next-level snuggle mode here, folks. These sheets have been on Oprah's favorite things list 7 years in a row, and there's a reason why. Cozy Earth gives you the softest, coolest sleep of your life. And just for Pet Life Radio listeners, I scored you an exclusive 41% off. That's the biggest discount they offer anywhere. Just use promo code PetLifeRadio at CozyEarth.com and sleep like the celebrity your pet already thinks you are. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code PetLifeRadio. You'll thank me at bedtime.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. We are visiting today with Diane Rampelberg, the founder of Dustin's Paw. And we've been talking about the magic that she works with the dogs and kids with disabilities and how to engage kids with multiple types of disabilities. And Diane, before the break, we were talking about that. We were talking about all the different things and how you make yourself almost disappear when you're working with kids. And I want to ask you, what are some of the most popular games that the dogs do with the kids that you use the most? And what tasks, because you talked about their 45 tasks that they come with knowing from Canine Companions, what tasks do the dogs have that are most popular?
Well, what I did was I took the basic commands and then I take an activity that I want to do. And then I figure out what commands I can use to, so that the dog can interact with the patient. And sometimes the command can't come across straight. So sometimes I have to expand it. So let me give you an example. I wanted to teach the kids to play tetherball with the dog. But the problem is that, I use a beach ball and I just attach it to a string thing that we have that hangs down in the clinic that we hook other items on. So I had my beach ball set up, and now I want the dog to touch it with their nose when it's coming to them. So we already had touch. The only problem is, we have touch. So what I did was I started out just using my hand as the target. So they touch my hand, and then I just start fading my hand until now they're touching the ball. And then I have to get somebody else, a kid or a therapist or somebody, to help me on the other side, and they push the ball back then to the dog, so the dog gets the idea that they're having to play back and forth with the patient. And that all works great, except for if you've got a dog like I've had, like, for example, my Ovell and even my Leopold, they really get into the game. So I had to figure a way to build the barrier. So I took a therapy bench and turned it over on its side. And so the dog plays on the back side of the therapy bench, so they don't go over it. If the ball doesn't come that far, then they may reach out, but they don't get it. And then I have the kid on the other side, whether they're in a wheelchair, whatever device it is, wheelchair, if they've got to be on the ground. I have one boy that's laying on his back and he's playing tetherball with his feet. So we're working at gaining strength in his legs and in his core and the rest of that. But anyway, so the dog plays back and forth with the touch command. Well, then I got into another situation where the touch was just too hard. It was more like a push. So anyway, then I had to come up with a way to, when I had heavier objects, for example, the closing the door when we do feeding therapy, to close the refrigerator door, that is a push. Or to close one of the doors in the treatment rooms, push. So that had to be a little bit harder. So then we just had to get to the place where, Canine Companions had done a pretty good job of getting the targeting to an object, but I wanted it a little bit different. So then I had to morph it so that I could get a harder push. And I just did again the same way with my hand. But again, we didn't have a ball, we had a door. And so there were things that were different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, you're just so adaptive and creative, Diane, with what you're doing. Like I said, you make it sound so simple, but it's really amazing what you're doing to tailor the dog's abilities with the kids' needs. Yeah, that is so beautiful the way that you're doing that. And that's how I heard about you, was through Tamara Martin, because as I said earlier, she was telling me about the work that you did with her and some of her team. So tell us, Diane, how do you work with groups like that? And what did you do with Tamara and her team?
Well, I've been to Alabama now twice. So the first time that I went, we were there for 4 days. And I had a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff that goes into handling a dog and the tricks and, or I should say the behaviors, however you want to put it, and all the rest of that. So I called it the art and science of facilitating. And so there's like an art to it, which involves, the creativity and the actual, coming up with the ideas and doing the stuff and the rest of that. And then the other side is the science part of it. And the science part of it would be the training part of it. And so what I did then was I flipped back and forth between a facilitating skill, for example, like making yourself small, like a puppeteer, and then off to the other side, which was actually training the dog to do a behavior. So we worked on all kinds of things. Some of the behaviors we worked on were painting. So they had their dogs painting or, writing their name on a clipboard with a piece of paper. We had them playing basketball and soccer. Trying to think of, so we did, getting used to wearing clothes. I also worked on working the dog off leash in an enclosed area and how you do that, things like that.
Tell us about how you got them to write their name.
So what I did was, and I've changed this now several times, getting the dog to hold something in their mouth. And I had originally sort of, in your head, you'd like to have them hold it so it comes straight out of the mouth. Okay. Does not work real well because dogs' teeth aren't that great. So anyway, then what I did was I took markers and I wrapped the marker with a torn up washcloth and then put a rubber band around it so that it was enough for the dog to get a good hold of it. And then I just put it on the side of their mouth. And then the kid or the therapist, whoever happens to be the adult, then would hold the clipboard in their hands and the dog just holds that marker in their mouth. Okay. And then you can move the clipboard however you want. You can write the dog's name. You're doing it backwards, but anyway, and you can draw pictures. We draw pictures of dogs and we make routes so that they can drive their cars, roads, they can drive their car on the road. So anyway, then one of the women that's in the Alabama group came up with another idea. And she was using like a card, like a index card. And she took the index card and put the pencil or the marker in between. And then she put another index card on top. And so the dog could hold it this way in their mouth. Like that. Well, anyway, I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And the other day I came up with, I think it's a good idea. A chuck-it ball. You can buy the chuck-it balls that have a hole in them and they squeak. Well, with my dogs, that squeaker never lasts very long.
Right.
So I went in there and dug the squeaker out. And then I took a paintbrush and I wrapped a Coban around the paintbrush and I stuck the paintbrush into that hole. And I gave the ball then to my dog and he holds it. I tell him to hold it and he holds it. And we have the same thing. You can do it with a marker, a pencil, a crayon, whatever you want. So the chuck-it ball has a new use.
Yeah. Yes, it does. That is so cool. And so you worked with all of them for, like you said, for 3 days and 4 days. Do you do that a lot, Diane? Do you work with other agencies and do other events?
Well, I'm more than happy to. I haven't really, let's put it this way, I haven't really advertised myself. But if there are people out there that are interested, I don't charge for, my coming, but I mean, for my services I call myself a Canine Modality Specialist. But if I would have to go somewhere, which is what the Alabama dogs did, they flew us out there and then gave us a place to stay. And they also paid for our food. They didn't need to, but they did. And
I'm sure they wanted to do that. Yes, for you coming and not charging them anything. That's amazing, Diane. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's fascinating what you're describing and how easily you're describing it. As how you've adapted all of these toys and ways of moving, how you're getting the dogs to move and how you're getting them to engage with the children. It's wonderful. Yeah, I see why Tamara was so excited and talking so highly of you. Yeah, it's very, very exciting what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we really enjoy it. We really have a heart for the kids, and there's just nothing like seeing their smile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's intoxicating, right?
Yes, it is very. And it's just wonderful. Yesterday, we had a boy very involved with cerebral palsy, and they were working at trying to help him get some strength in his hips and his legs. So anyway, we just played a simple roll the ball down the ramp. And that kid was so excited and had such a big smile on his face. He actually got to play dog with the ball. He didn't
Yeah,
throw
that's
it.
what I was going to say. Yeah, he was playing like any other kid with a dog, but only with a really amazing dog. Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. I mean, that's what it's all about. That joy and that feeling of accomplishment and connection, really connecting, it's so hard for me to articulate the power of that connection with these kinds of dogs, with dogs from Canine Companions or any agency that trains them or anybody that trains them where dogs are trained really well. It's just incredible.
One other thing I was going to mention back about the touch command,
Mm-hmm.
I turned that into iPad games.
Oh,
So the dogs touch the screen with their nose, and then they play computer games with the kids. And I also have it set up on regular standalone computers with games and things. And the dogs use the switches just like the kids that, can't use their fingers or the rest of that. They just have a switch and they just push the switch and it activates the screen on the computer. And then the dogs take their turn. So we could play a race car game and the kids are pushing their switch and the dogs are pushing their switch and we're racing our race cars.
oh, how fun. How fun. Well, and Tamara also mentioned a bumblebee game. Can you tell us about that one?
Okay, so yeah, I think it's Hasbro that makes it. Couldn't tell you for sure, but you have little sticks that you stick in this hive. And then there are bumblebees that you drop down into the hive. And then the trick is to pull one of those little straws out. And the object is to, get as many bumblebees as you can or not, however you choose to play the game. But the kids pull theirs out, and then it's the dog's turn to pull theirs out. So we do a lot of turn taking with games. And that game can also be turned into Yeti and My Spaghetti. So there's a game that you throw a bunch, it's like pickup sticks, you throw them into this bowl, and then you throw a Yeti, a little, I guess it's a bear, I don't know. You put it at the top, and then they pull the strings out, and the object is to get as many of the strings or straws out than your opponent can get out before the Yeti drops into the bowl. And so the dogs pull theirs out just like the kids do, and they take turns back and forth.
I love it. Love it. Well, I do want to ask you, because I know our time is almost up. I know, but I do want to ask you, what advice, Diane, would you offer someone like yourself at the beginning who is interested in maybe using a dog to work with children or other individuals with disabilities? What would your advice to them be?
Well, number one is that you have some knowledge and skill. In other words, you have a good idea of what the child needs or what the person needs. So you're not just coming off the street. So like my son, I love him dearly. He's a software engineer, but he has no idea what to do with the kids because he doesn't have the background that I have. So you need some kind of a background. And then it also is helpful if you can speak the same language. So they're rattling off stuff all the time, like I just did with object permanence or with something else. And they expect you to understand it right away because therapy happens quickly. So if you've got some kind of a background in OT, PT, speech, or teaching, special ed, you come with that. And then the other thing that I would recommend is that, you really need to be a dog person. You need to be somebody who
Yes.
who loves dogs, and you see the difference that they've made in your life and the difference that they can make in others. Maybe you've even seen it through, I've had people that I have, patients that I have that have ended up with skilled companions. And I've also had people that I've worked with who got their own facility dog. So they just need to see it and they need to fall in love with just seeing those happy faces.
Yeah, I can only liken it to seeing magic in action. Yeah, I mean, it is so amazing when you see it. I mean, I just think about the first time I saw a diabetic alert dog alert to a woman whose blood sugar was going through the roof. It is so hard to really articulate that kind of gift and that ability that that canine has that is just, it's like it's in another realm. It's just so amazing. It's of the heavens. It's so amazing. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then, of course, you've got to have a well-trained dog. And there are lots of ways you can do that.
It's a commitment.
And then extra training is good.
Yes. Well, how can our listeners find you, Diane? I know you've got Facebook. Tell us, how can they find you?
Well, they can go to our website, which is dustinspaw.com. And there's a link there for the Facebook page.
Awesome.
And we also have a Facebook page. And on there's contact information. They're more than happy to contact me. I don't know how you do that, if you give addresses and phone numbers out or how you handle that.
Yeah, we usually give people the website. So we will definitely put your website on and they can click on it. It'll be a live link and it'll go right to you. So our listeners love that so that they can get more information, because I'm sure that there are lots of people out there that are interested in the kind of work that you're doing or that want to learn more about it. It's just, I just think we are just at the tip of the iceberg of what dogs can do for us. And for people that have different needs and abilities, it's just such an incredible gift.
Yeah, they're one of God's better inventions.
They sure are. Yes, they are. Yeah, they are superstars.
Yeah. And I've appreciated everything that they have given me. They've warmed my heart, my husband's heart, my son's heart. I mean, they've made a difference in our family.
Yeah. It makes us better. Yeah, it does. I believe it makes us better people, whoever has a true relationship with the dog. Yes, if that kind of bond that you've described today, it can't help but make us better because they're so amazing and they're so pure and genuine. There's no games, no kinds of manipulation or anything. They're just so true and amazing. Yeah.
I don't know. I have one more story.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We'll hear it.
My mother said they keep secrets, which they do, but they also are just pure. They don't disobey unless you do something incorrect. So I had a patient, a TBI patient, that wanted to do an agility course with one of my dogs. So we set the course up so it was challenging for him to do. And then he had to go through the commands with the dog. But we started out with just the weave pulls. And I put the guards on the outside so we don't have any mistakes. And it's easier for the kids and the dogs. So anyway, then we showed him how to do that. And then we would add another part and another part and another part. And sometimes he would get really frustrated because he thought the world revolved around him and it was everybody else's fault. And I said, no. I said, you're doing something that the dog doesn't understand. And so he's just trying to please you. He doesn't want to hurt you.
Right. That's
right.
You know,
he doesn't want to do any of that. So you have to think about what it is you're communicating. Not only communicating with your voice, but also how you're communicating with your body. And we got lots of mileage off of that.
Wow.
So anyway, just the dogs reading the kid.
Yes.
Helped.
Yes. Well, Diane, you are amazing. And I am just so appreciative that you took time to be with us today. And I want to hear more as you continue to grow in this work that you're doing. It's so exciting. I'm just so glad Tamara told me about you. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
And thank you for asking me. And for Tamara thinking of it.
Yes, well, it has been a pure pleasure to visit with you today. So thank you so much, Diane. And we will definitely put your website and that information on our webpage so that people can find you.
Okie doke. Sounds good.
Awesome.
And best wishes to you and the work you do.
Thank you, Diane. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us today. We're so glad you could be with us, and we love to hear from you. So please keep those emails coming at Marcie, Marcie, at PetLifeRadio.com. So thanks so much, everybody, and we look forward to being with you again soon. Take good care.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.